Good morning. How you doing? It is January 14th at 6:17 in the morning. Temperature outside here in western Iowa is 0 with a wind chill of like 14 below, something like that. And we picked up about a half inch of snow overnight. So a fresh coat of paint. It's really pretty. Now we're going to talk about the snow jets that are going to be turning on in earnest for the eastern Great Lakes over the next couple of days. A warm up in the plains and the south before the cold air dumps this weekend. Let's get into it. Here's your snow depth right now. And we see a little bit of a stripe through Iowa. Once again, a narrow area of a little bit of extra snow on top of that little bit of snow we had remaining. But we're filling in that snow hole for Wisconsin, at least northern Wisconsin. Lesser amounts as you head into the southern part of the state. Still holding on to the snow from that big snowstorm in the Midwest. So from Kansas all the way into West Virginia, still have plenty of snow on the ground. And then the southern snow that jumped snow from New Mexico all the way to the Carolinas, a lot of that has melted. You had so much in Arkansas, over a foot. You're still hanging on to an inch or two, but most of that snow is now gone. How could it look in about 11 days? Well, the GFS is now saying a southern snowstorm coming in about a week. So we'll take a look at that here on the GFS. It's only one run so far, and the European doesn't have it yet. So certainty isn't high, but again, it's a week away, and we'll let the computer models work it out, but that's what the indications are right now. And then look around the Great Lakes, just crazy amounts of lake effect snow, which we'll talk about here in a second. Currently out there, that cold front through the Midwest, I mean, we're 0 here in Harlan, Iowa, and below 0, obviously, as you head north. And those teens and 20s going all the way through Texas, freezing temperatures all the way through southern Mississippi, not quite to the Gulf Coast. And we have cold temperatures in southern Arizona again. Looks like 27 for Tucson, if I'm reading that right. It's hard to see. But it's cold. How much colder could it be on January 21st, just a week from today? These lows are dramatic. 31 Portland, Oregon, single digits to Portland, Maine, from sea to shining sea. And those below 0 temperatures from Iowa north again, but single digits getting all the way down into Kansas and Kentucky. And all the way to the East Coast, and teens and 20s for Texas, 20s all the way down to the Gulf Coast. So this looks like a really cold air mass that's heading our way starting this weekend. How do things look right now hazard-wise? It's cold in southern Arizona, freeze warnings. It's cold in California, freeze warnings, but there's fires burning and red flag warning for conditions to be right for even more fires to go. It's going to be harder to control those fires with these kinds of conditions. Hopefully things will improve over the next couple of days, but it's not looking good for today. Meanwhile, the Great Lakes, that's kind of our big story for the next couple of days, with winter weather advisories surrounding the lakes, even a winter storm warning up there in the UP of Michigan. So the surface today, kind of our broad brush, that light snow moving towards through the Midwest towards the Ohio Valley, but it's heavier snow as that cold air blows across the lakes, mainly for New York State, and that cool air sinking down into the central plains. For tomorrow, the snow jets continue off of the Great Lakes. A little bit of snow, rain perhaps for the Texas and Louisiana Gulf Coast. 48-hour precipitation. We do see rain down there along the Texas Gulf Coast. Not a lot. I mean, maybe up to a half inch for some. But the rest of this is snow. So you see the light snow from Nebraska through Iowa into Illinois, Indiana, Ohio Valley. That's the light snow we got overnight. Can't wait to see that fresh coat once the sun comes up. I'm going to head to the lake, of course. A little bit of snow up there in Wyoming. But the big story is the Great Lakes, and particularly the eastern Great Lakes next 2 days. Erie, Pennsylvania, maybe up to 10 inches. We'll see. You get into the New York State side of Lake Erie, and we're talking 16 inches or more. And then you get into upstate New York, and there's that bullseye 2 feet plus, probably over 30 inches for some there. Thursday, still having lake effect snow here on the lighter side. A little bit of rain and snow for Arizona, New Mexico, and some rain. Oh, I did say rain. Rain and snow. And up there in the Pacific Northwest, Washington, Idaho, Montana. All right, let's go through. Let's start from current, and we'll go through our GFS model because it is showing, a snowstorm coming for the south, snow and ice. But first we got the snow jets, cold air sinking south as we go through the day today. And then we see a disturbance riding through the Great Lakes, lake enhanced, lake effects snow. And as we're getting into Thursday now, we're starting to see warm air bubble up into the west and invading the plains. So a warm up into Friday here in Iowa. I think that inch or two of snow that we have on the ground is going to melt, perhaps. Highs maybe in the 40s even. Wow. That's warm for this time of year. And especially, we haven't been a bit above freezing for 3 weeks. So, but as this low clears in Canada, that cold air is going to dive straight south. And as we get into Saturday, cold air heading south into the plains. Along the front, some pretty good showers and storms for the southeast, and that's snow further north into the Ohio Valley, moving into Pennsylvania. But even New England getting rain, northern New England getting snow, and a little bit of stripe of snow back here. But you see the cold air has come in. That 540 line is all the way through western Oregon, so that cold air getting all the way to the coast. This is getting into Sunday as that cold air just overtakes much of the country. We see a little bit of snow breaking out here in the Delmarva. As we get into Monday, some light snow breaking out in the southern plains and the plains of Colorado, moving into Texas. And as we get into Tuesday, this is Tuesday morning, 6 a.m. Snowstorm starting in Texas, ice towards the coast, northern Louisiana too. And as we go through time, that just marches through the south. Lots of icing and snow on the north side. And as we go through Wednesday, quite a bit of snow, northern Mississippi into Tennessee, northern Alabama. Quite a bit of ice for northern Georgia, central Georgia, into South Carolina. Snow turning to ice in North Carolina as we get through Thursday. So again, the GFS is now showing this really in this dramatic fashion for the first time. The European does not have it yet. And so it's just one run so far, but we will watch it for consistency. It certainly is a possibility the cold air will be in place. So if we form a low at the bottom of that trough in Texas, it could move across the south with some problems. And of course, we'll keep you posted as we go. Meanwhile, the cold air is a certainty. 60-day temperature outlook is cold for most of the country, except for the West Coast and Alaska and Hawaii. 8 to 14, the cold shifts a little further east, but still most of the country colder than average. 6 to 10-day precipitation, dry west, dry in the center of the country, but below average for the southeast. Above average for the southeast and Alaska and Hawaii. And 8 to 14 days, the trend continues with dry Midwest through the Great Lakes into the Northeast, and also west and wet for the northern plains and along the southeast Texas Gulf Coast all the way through the mid-Atlantic, and above average for Alaska and Hawaii. So will we see a southern snowstorm starting in a week or so? Cold air is coming. It'll be in place. And if we can manage a system to form down there in Texas and move across the south, could happen. And as the computer models sort it out, we'll keep you posted as well. Do appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see you again tomorrow right here on the Weather Bike.